Got it?
So I think Ian's trying to. Do you want to go into the other room, or he said he wanted to?
I, I was quite happy that I was in the room with Andre because I'm in a similar position to Martin of finding that quite challenging.
There was
sorry, Edwin. Everything is okay. You can come back. Thank you.
Okay.
You can come back. Sorry.
You join.
Oh.
I just asked Edwin for help because you didn't appear, so I wanted to help him. I wanted him to help you, Bill. But it's
right,
okay.
but Ian would like to be in the other room, so it would actually be better if Edwin joined us here, and then we could put Ian in the room.
No. One facilitator must be in.
Right, I know. Oh, well, okay. Well, I would go into the other room or whatever. All right, well, okay. So who would like, would anybody like to start speaking? Okay, well, then I will, because I checked out that website.
You have to choose somebody.
Right, I will. Yes, Ian. All right, let's get it on, Ian. Let's go. All right. Will you listen to me? Okay, you're muted. Okay, there you go. Okay, great. So I checked out that website displaying my technological naivete. But the website, I didn't have a chance to really delve into it, but essentially it contains no data and no, really, it's just basically, there's this guy, it was 2 years ago, he says it's the biggest scam ever. It doesn't really source the information, and basically I didn't see any chart, I didn't see any click, it was just about a paragraph or so of statements with no data backing it up. So I'll stop there.
So I heard that you clicked into the website and you kind of got lost in it somehow, and you couldn't go back into the Zoom thing. You said that you didn't feel like you were super advanced technologically.
This is true. Yes.
And it sounded like you were quite skeptical of the website because it didn't contain any sort of data or charts or information, and it basically what you understood from it, or what you perceived was that it was just some guy from about 2 years ago.
Right. And to be fair, I've been on, Andre, and Andre is a serious man and really intelligent and very accomplished. So this is not necessarily a personal referendum on Andre. So I'll have to say that.
So it sounds like you respect Andre. You respect his opinion because you believe that he is intelligent and kind of reasonable and able to sort of evaluate different things. So you want to make clear that this is not an attack on Andre.
Right. That being said, there's no question in my mind about global warming. I've seen coral bleaching, just with my own eyes. We experienced the Paradise fires here, and actually what we should be, climate does change, and what we should be experiencing right now is the end of the interglacial and a movement into another glaciation period. So actually what we should see is that the world should be cooling very slightly, and we're seeing the opposite. So I think that's pretty clear that it's man-made, not to mention the ice cores in Greenland and other things.
Okay. So although you respect Andre's opinion, you disagree with him completely, and you believe that global warming is caused by men. You think that it's obvious to see that, and you've seen coral bleaching. with your own eyes. After that, you said that we should be entering the interglacial period.
We are, yeah, I'm sorry. It should be colder. We're at the end of the interglacial warm period, and actually things, if we're going natural climate change, it should be cooling slightly.
Thanks. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I can repeat
Right,
what you
okay.
said. That,
Sure.
Yeah, we should be,
Right.
we should be cooling,
Uh-huh.
but actually we're warming, and to you, that is another evidence of climate change, as well as the coral bleaching and the ice cores in Greenland.
Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to go off a little bit. I just want to express appreciation for what Alex said, because what the core, the real revolutionary idea here is really communicating with your fellow human being. And rather than just kind of, drift off, Alex kind of fought through his resistance and came here. Even he may not like it, he may not come back again, but he came back and he really honored the relationship we have, and he spoke his mind freely, and that's the revolution that I would like to see.
Yes, so I just got too into listening to what you were saying just then.
Okay,
so
that's all right.
you admire Alex for coming back and for kind of bringing it back to the more kind of human level. What these empathy circles are really about. So yeah, it sounds like you want to thank Alex for kind of not just leaving and coming back and saying what he felt that he needed to say, or what you felt that he felt that he needed to say.
Well, I didn't tell him what to say, but
No.
right. Okay. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ian. I feel fully heard.
Okay. Thanks. So what do I want to say? I'll choose somebody to reflect first.
Right.
Who's Alex. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting. If you look at the link that Andre posted, it's a page which contains several videos. Some of them are 6 hours long. I'm just going to pause so then Alex can reflect.
Okay. So you're reacting to the videos on the page. Sounds like maybe you have some disbelief or skepticism or something based on their length.
Yes. Yeah. So why am I skeptical of that? Well, I think it's really interesting to look at kind of conspiracy theories. Like there was a while, for a period of about a while back, I kind of started to believe a lot of the conspiracy theories, and they're quite sort of seductive in a way. And it's interesting that they use videos, and it's interesting that Andre said this is really good information. Whereas of course videos are really they use images of one thing which seems to prove what the narrator is saying, and then they might have a quote which may or may not be in context, which again proves this narrative that's being created in the videos.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like so you've had this experience of conspiracy theory that it can be very seductive, and especially videos, I guess because they're kind of appealing to your senses more or something. And so you're kind of struck by the fact that this is what Andre presented as information when it's less factual and more kind of emotional or something like that, or sensational maybe.
Yeah, and I haven't watched those videos that Andre posted, but I think, I think it's really interesting, and I think it's I think there's something that's really quite powerful about these narratives. And I think, yeah, it's almost like it's these kind of stories, isn't it? And I think that's what we're seeing in, kind of all over the world, really, like with this sort of, there's a lot of anti-immigrant stuff going on in England, in Europe, in America. One of the narratives around that is that, oh, these immigrants are coming into our country, they're taking our jobs, and it's all a big, and I don't know, there's something quite kind of, it's very easy to, well, I think what's happening is that people are creating these narratives and people are buying into them.
Okay. So it sounds like you're kind of intrigued by this idea of having like a narrative or a story, and how much it seems to really grip people, whether it's the immigration thing or these conspiracy theories or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's pretty interesting, and it's also, I'd like to question Andre, because he said that it's all a big scam. People want to make loads of money, but of course, if you would compare the amount of money being put into like renewable energy sources to the amount of money being collected by big oil, and I'm doing this now with my hands to make you believe, that you'd see that it's so much more money in oil. So who has the power to control the narrative? Of course, it would be the side of the climate deniers.
Okay. Yeah, so you're kind of seeing this sort of flaw in his argument where he's suggesting that climate change is the scam, but in fact you're kind of looking at the money and you're seeing there's a lot more money going towards denial of it, and in fact that's much more likely that's the scam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and I think it's what a bizarre world that we live in, where people can believe two kind of completely conflicting things, and one of them is true and one of them isn't.
You're kind of marveling at the world that we live in and how people can have completely different representations of reality that they're completely convinced by.
Yeah, and particularly in this instance, one of them is correct, and one like completely isn't, because it's either man-made or it's not.
So it's particularly striking when one of them is fake and one of them is the actual truth, and yet there's still all this conviction on both sides.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. We'll do Bill.
Okay, I'm listening.
All right. Well, I appreciate you saying that you appreciated me sharing.
Sure.
I felt very, I don't know, nervous, I guess, vulnerable. I wasn't talking about the topic, but I'm glad to have a little bit of like positive affirmation of what I did.
Okay, so you appreciated the positive, that I gave you, and you're feeling vulnerable, and you're feeling good that you were recognized and not attacked.
Yeah, it makes me feel more comfortable and welcome, I guess. Yeah, I guess just to continue on that thread. So this is not necessarily going to be completely fair, or I don't know, but so Edwin he made he responded while we were waiting in the big room, and he said that the thing that I described with the mirroring and everything, that's kind of like next level or advanced. Maybe I'm like overestimating, because I have been in this world of like, I don't know, emotional personal development for like most of my life because of my dad, but like that doesn't seem that advanced to me to be like, how are you feeling? Make a physical gesture representing it, and then we'll all copy that. Like, I don't know.
Okay. So you were responding to what Edwin said, that part of the introduction and the mirroring was advanced, and you didn't think that it was that difficult.
Yeah, exactly. He'll probably be watching this recording later.
No problem.
I mean, I respect his desire to make this approachable to people and not throw too much at people. But I don't know. I mean, I would almost hope that by adding a little bit of a huge, like, personal element to the beginning, that might actually make it more approachable, as opposed to kind of jumping straight into the topic.
Mm-hmm. So you're thinking that a warm-up would be nice rather than jumping up into because it would basically include more people, kind of get people comfortable and not so worried about whether they know a lot about the topic or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I heard you reflect that, it kind of made me think like I'm not trying to be like, oh, we should all be like lovey-dovey, we should get on the same page, we should all like agree with each other, and we shouldn't argue or disagree or like talk about difficult things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Andre presenting very like information that would be probably most of us would consider pretty like contradictory. Like, I'm not saying that shouldn't happen or anything like that, but I don't know, I just, for whatever reason, I just wasn't really like enjoying the first roughly like half an hour of this. And I feel like, I don't know, it just would have been more fun or something. Somehow it would have appealed to me more if I kind of had a little bit more of a sense of the people that I was talking to.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you're not going for an all-out kumbaya movement where we have to then exchange gifts and social obligations, but you're feeling that a little bit of a more humanistic kind of getting to know you thing time would be of value.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I really actually have much else to say. I don't know. Yeah, I just know that like I came to a couple empathy circles. It was like the fall of last year or whatever, and then I stopped coming for probably 6 months. Okay, but yeah, I just have vague memories of kind of more touching, enjoyable conversations. It felt more like empathy as opposed to like a kind of intellectual debate. I don't know.
Okay, so in your experience, when you remember the empathy circles, you felt that it was a more personal touch and more individual personal exchanges rather than on a specific topic where it seems to be a little bit more just like argumentative, and you're feeling that you're missing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. I'll talk to Carolina.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay. Well, I think Alex, in total transparency, like last week I facilitated, and as in my process as a facilitator, some of the feedback I got was that things kind of went on too long. So then I was trying to truncate it. Now, and I was trying to shorten it. But we didn't do what you said about the mirroring and the more get to know you. And I think that's a valuable, that actually might be more illustrative of what the listening, the empathic listening circles are about than the topics themselves, is that sense of community. I'll stop there.
So you recalling situation from the last meeting when you were also facilitating, and then we were debriefing this meeting, and you got kind of feedback that our first part of our meeting was too long, so now you were trying to make it shorter, and you think that the issue Alex is discussing and the recall as kind of really touching form of connection and building empathy, culture of empathy, was kind of, if I understand you correctly, wasn't that difficult? That's what you meant?
No, I think it's important.
Oh yeah, you said that it's important and not that difficult to do. That's probably what you said.
Yeah, I think Alex was the one who said that it's not that difficult. I reflected that, and I certainly agree.
Okay.
But I live in the Bay Area where there's like 50 therapists for every person.
Sorry, that's something I shouldn't do. But you referring to the area you live in California, that there is a lot of psychotherapies and other therapies for every person. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And this is, I believe, the way forward as we go through, and that we're open to feedback. I mean, that's the difference between, here comes the new boss, just like the old boss, and, welcoming and incorporating feedback as a movement grows.
So I'm not sure if I understand you. Well, I understand every word, but I'm not sure if okay.
Right. What I'm saying that it's important to incorporate feedback, even contradictory feedback, as a movement grows within the community, and within acceptance, as opposed to here's the new regime.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you saying that as our empathy circle project and movement and group team evolve and develop, it's good to incorporate any feedback that comes and to kind of reconstruct maybe the way we organize empathy circle. So it's good to have this feedback all the time during the process of developing.
Right. And then very important that people not feel ostracized or not feel attacked, and that we maintain our community.
So what you're saying is that it's important to kind of being inclusive and not ostracize anybody for opinion he or she has, but rather include that opinion and think through or empathize.
Thank you. I feel fully heard, Carolina.
Yeah. So finish early. Okay. So okay, I have to choose someone. Maybe I choose Ian. However, I hear you kind of the after sound we have from you. It's not a good sound for me, so I may have problem with understanding you, but I will try. Okay, I set my time. So first of all, I remember I'm glad that Alex is back, and I hope he will stay with us. Because sometimes he says that I don't know what to say, I have nothing to say, and suddenly he says something extraordinary. So I stop there.
Oh, sorry. I was just listening to what you're saying. So, yeah, you said that you're really happy that Alex is back here, and it sounded like you wanted to assure Alex that he's welcome and that his contribution is welcome, whatever it is, even if you wanted Alex to know that even though you feel that he might feel that he doesn't have something to say, actually, and it's often really insightful.
He very often says that he has nothing to say, but then he says something very important. so that's kind of pattern. Okay, and I remember also Alex talking about in our different meeting about climate crisis and kind of anxiety of not knowing what to do. That the complexity of the problem is so huge and overwhelming that he actually doesn't know what to do with that, where to put his hands. That's how I remember what Alex was saying. And actually, I think that Extinction Rebellion is the answer to that. Okay, I stop there.
So you said that you remember Alex saying something like, or expressing the sentiment of not knowing how to respond to the climate situation, and you feel that Extinction Rebellion is the answer, or an answer.
Well, what is important, I remember Alex expressing this complexity of the problem of the climate crisis, the connection between different factors, industry, financial markets, and all the stuff. It's so complex, so difficult to resolve all the problems. So he felt kind of overwhelmed by this and felt like, we as a regular people, what can we do? There was that kind of feeling I remember from empathic listening of Alex. That's what I remember.
So you remember that Alex was expressing this of, it's so complex, all of these different interacting systems. What can we, as normal individual people, do?
Yeah,
that's what you remember.
Yeah. And I remember feeling the same. And I actually believe that Extinction Rebellion is the answer. And I want to say something about the one of the rules of this activism, which I see. I stop there.
Yeah, so you feel the same as those sentiments which you expressed, and you feel that Extinction Rebellion is the answer to the question of what can we do.
Yeah.
And then you're about to say something about activists.
Yeah, so Extinction Rebellion has this rule of actually disrupting the regular life, our daily routine. We go to workplace, we use public transport, we go to the manufactories, offices, wherever we work, and we are just kind of involved in the system, and actions performed by Extinction Rebellion kind of interrupt them, kind of disturb us and force us to stop. And it's not just, okay, this is my time, let me just wrap up. So those actions don't only disrupt the so-called pillar of the system, like, you know, state institutions, kind of economic system, and so on, but also disrupt our life of regular people. And that's the moment when bystanders or people, drivers who can't get their workplace or home or whatever, they are kind of frustrated and they shout on us, they annoyed by what we doing. This is the moment of connection to other people. This is the moment when we can involve empathy dialogue and try to find connection, not only protest to the state or the system, but also connect with other people and start communication. That's what is important. Okay.
So yeah, so I guess I guess the kind of common thread of what you said was about the disruption of Extinction Rebellion. And it sounds like from what you've said that you feel that this disruptive aspect of Extinction Rebellion kind of addresses lots of the different aspects of the climate crisis. You mentioned that the disruptive tactics disrupt these kind of systems, economic, financial, political, and it disrupts people's individual lives. And you feel that that disruption is a really powerful moment to connect with people, create empathy, and kind of jolt people into some action or some new way of thinking.
That's what I believe. Thank you. I feel fully heard. Thank you. Your turn.
So, I don't know. Yeah, it's. I think it's interesting that we are.
You have to choose someone.
Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, I'll choose Carolina.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think it's. Yeah, I think that at the moment we are kind of having this conversation, and I think that we are listening to each other quite well, and I think we're probably quite on the same page about what we think. I don't think we disagree strongly. Sorry.
So what I'm hearing is saying that we have kind of very similar view, and as you said, we are on the same page, and probably there is no much we could disagree. Is it correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. At the moment, that's how we are. So, for that reason, my feeling is that the empathy circle comes into its own when there are situations with more disagreement, or where there is more perhaps conflict or really strong emotions involved.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean now. You're saying that empathy circle is coming to its own when there is a conflict situation or disturbance situation, but I'm not sure what you mean by that. I can't explain that.
I guess perhaps what I mean is that this comes, I guess, responding a little bit to what Alex said, perhaps, is that this conversation is, I would describe it as more sort of cognitive. You know, we're talking about, well, perhaps a little bit. I don't know. I guess I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but I guess maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
So you are kind of feel confused, you don't know what to say, but you think that our dialogue is more about cognition, as I understand. And I'm not sure how empathy, you said that empathy circle comes to itself. I still can't explain that in my words because I don't understand that.
I guess, but well, I guess, what am I trying to say? I suppose what I'm trying to say is that this empathy circle is great. It's because everybody reflects, it takes longer than a normal conversation.
So you think that this method of talking is great because it kind of takes longer?
No, I think it is great, and it takes longer. I don't think it's great because it takes longer.
Okay, so you think that this is a great method, and in addition, it's also longer for everybody to have the opportunity to speak and be
That's
heard.
right. Yes, that is right. So my feeling is that in this situation, well, of course, in this situation, we are practicing an empathy circle. So that's what we're doing. So that's great.
Okay, so right now we practicing empathy circle, and you think it's great. You feel it's great.
Yes, but because we are listening to each other, and because we agree broadly on the topic, I would say that if we were having this conversation outside of this context, we might not need to use this structure. But if we were having a conversation that was more tense or more emotional with more disagreement, this structure could be really, really useful.
So what I'm hearing you saying that we now practicing, and the fact is that we broadly agree with our points of view in this room, and so we probably could talk without this structured dialogue, without this system of empathy circle. It still would be a very good talk. But if our group if our group would be more diverse and even more let me help to pronounce that word, more adversaries in our groups, that probably empathy circle would be very, very useful and good for using in such situations.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Okay,
thank
so
you.
You feel heard. Okay, thank you. So probably I would like to give Alex chance to respond to because we were talking a lot about him. So I will talk to so maybe we are out of time almost. So maybe Alex, if you would like to respond to anything.
I don't know. I mean,
and whom you want to reflect?
Ian, if you're willing. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I have too much to say. I thought about Carolina when you mentioned like what I had talked about earlier and the Extinction Rebellion kind of being an avenue to look into. That's interesting. Not necessarily like a big focus of mine at the moment, so I don't know if I'm going to do that right now, but it's interesting to hear.
Yeah, so you said you kind of don't feel that you have like a whole bunch to say at this point, and you're kind of interested in Extinction Rebellion, or the Carolina's suggestion, but maybe not something that you'll feel like you're going to really pursue it immediately.
Yeah. But I appreciate the chance to like share my thoughts and everything, and I felt like very welcome saying them, and I don't know, I feel very just kind of like calm and sort of, I guess I feel heard just in general through the whole this whole meeting. I just feel good, and I feel like I expressed everything that I wanted to say, so and I was heard. I appreciate the responses that I got and everyone being willing to listen and take it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you appreciate that everybody's listened to you, you feel heard, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Great. I just wanted to say thanks. We're going to be going to the main session, and I just want to say thanks to Ian to point out that there were videos attached. I would expect nothing less from Andre. So Andre, if you're listening to this, you brought it. I don't necessarily agree, but you brought it, man, and I appreciate it. Okay, see you in the main session.